And it's now time to dive in the first panel, our first corporate partner, and we're going to be talking about customer centricity. So we all know that customer centricity is key. It's key if you get your customers happy, then you become loyal, and this really impacts the revenue at the end of the day. So now today we're going to be talking about customer centricity and how this is impacting financial institutions such as UniCredit. So I would love to welcome on stage Lucia Zola, Head of Customer Centricity Center at UniCredit. Ciao, Lucia. Please, I'm going to give you the mic.
Okay.
Now we have the mic. Now I think we can easily talk. So thank you so much, Lucia, for being here today.
And thank you to you for having me here. Thank you so much.
So we know how important this is, customer centricity, but how do banks, how does the financial institution as UniCredit really thinks about what's the approach behind customer centricity?
So customer centricity is one of the main pillars of the new strategic plan that UniCredit has launched last December. And we've always known that customer centricity was important, but we were always relying on external skills in this area. What we decided was to internalize and create our own design studio, our own expertise, our own capability, our own point of view. And this is becoming fundamental and instrumental in creating a new generation of banking products that are really created around the users. We are now around 20 people, all rockstar designers, and it's really super exciting to see how the design methodologies are embedded and are becoming really fundamental in the way the bank works.
So it's really a team that is expanding because it hasn't been so long, and 20 people in the team, it really means that it's really in the heart and in the strategy, embedded in the strategy of UniCredit.
It's growing fast, yes.
But has there been some kind of insights or some kind of inspiration that you have taken from the ecosystem and maybe from startups? We are here with startups, so...
Yes, so the inspirational thing about startups is that usually companies are born around one very strong user need. And this seems very obvious, but in large banks like UniCredit, we sometimes, and I say sometimes, launch products that are technically fantastic out of our deep financial expertise, but then clients somehow do not understand them. And then they kind of fail when we try to sell them. And we look at startups as competitors, but also as a source of inspiration in the way they are really focused on what the user needs and how technology becomes an enabler to satisfy our customers. And I must say that in UniCredit, we have decided to keep startups and design very close, both from an organizational perspective. We are in the same company structure, but also from a local space perspective, so we share the same floor. And I must thank our fintech colleagues to keep us always very close to the startup ecosystem so that we can keep learning on the way startups do customer experience.
So today is the right day for mingle even more with more startups and get inspired. So you're getting inspired, but from your experience so far, if you would have to give any suggestions also back to startups, what would that be?
Yeah, it's difficult to give suggestions to startups, but well, what I would say is that the journey for a superior customer experience is a long journey. What we've been learning so far is that localization and personalization of experiences is of paramount importance. And you really need to build your technology in a way that it allows you to actually customize and personalize your experience. In our case, it's important also for regulatory reasons, because regulation is very different across the countries where we operate, and so we need to be flexible enough to cope with different regulations, but it's true also for local preferences. And I can give you a couple of examples. For example, and this is not really a regulation, but is more the general environment. For the identification of our clients in Italy, we can leverage on speed, which is a fantastic invention. In Germany, there isn't. In Germany, there isn't even a fiscal code. So we need to, while in Italy we need to connect to speed, in Germany we need to have OCR to recognize information on a plain vanilla identity document. And it's very important that you can embed very flexibly these two technologies within your same journey. And another example, which is more on customer preferences, is on the adoption of PSD2. Thanks to PSD2, we can read information in other current accounts that our clients might have, obviously with their consent, and acquire information on their salary from these other current accounts, obviously with the consent of the clients. And this is very useful and fast, and from a customer experience perspective is super smooth because customers do not have to upload fancy salary statements on our portal, but we just read the other current accounts. This is clearly something that is super useful, super fast, but it's not accepted in all countries. So in Italy, it's becoming to get accepted. In Germany, no way. We need to allow customers to upload their paper salary statements in our portal because we tested it in every possible way, and PSD2 was still not accepted. So personalization, localization, and having a technology that help you do that when you want to scale cross-country.
So these really 3 milestones to keep in mind, definitely. And Lucia, earlier you said that sometimes banks build really great products from a technical standpoint, but then in the end, if the customer does not understand and get the value, it's kind of a lost game, right? So now, since the launch of the center, have you seen any benefits coming in that actually UniCredit has seen? Like, what has been the impact of this journey so far?
So the impact has been, I would say that the most immediate impact is on the way of working and on the speed and agility that working close, having an internal competence center, working close to the users and close to the developers has brought. And in terms of speed, the example that I can mention is that leveraging design as a pivot between business experts, developers, and end users, we were able to launch a few months ago an instant lending product in 8 weeks, which for some startups looks like ages, but in UniCredit, the average lead time to launch a new product is usually between 1 year and 1.5 years when we are very successful. And so having the possibility to show how design can be the pivot of this new way of working has been of paramount importance. And this experiment was very successful and inspired the way of working that we are now applying, where agile is at the core and design is the methodology that allows the team to be close to the users. And we recently ran a survey with all levels, executives, managers, employees, asking whether they would go back to the previous way of working, and the answer was no way.
So it's actually also the kind of the culture of the startup,
yes,
starting to be getting into financial people, which would have not been expected, I assume, You were not, I would have never thought about this. Well, thank you so much. I think that was very insightful. And it's now time to actually listen to some startups.